And I believe it is now recording. All right, so this is where I normally do an introduction, which is supposed to be a lot more enthusiastic than Eddie can ever do on anything this podcast. So let's just hit it, jump right in. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? You're listening to, I believe, episode 10 of the podcast. I'm starting to lose track, which is very sad because we've only been doing this for like 3 months now, Eddie. So I have no idea what we're going to do when we're in like the hundreds and we're like, welcome to episode 1 something. But anyways, episode 10 of the podcast brought to you by chopdog.com. Dog is in DAWG. Starting to finally shamelessly plug our company into it. If you want an awesome mobile app, web app, wearable app, come reach out to us at ChopDog. Free proposal, free quote. You can literally stalk Eddie down. Eddie will talk to you nonstop. It'll be great. It'll be a fun time for all.
What? I have to talk to people?
Eventually. Speaking of people that has to talk to people, my co-host, as always, Mr. Eddie Contento. Say hello, Eddie.
Hello, Eddie.
And last but not least, the man of the hour, the reason we're all here, the people that make everyone tremble, excitement, passion.
What?
I don't know. I'll just see where we can go with this. This is going to be a weird episode. I just know.
This is going to be a good episode.
It's gonna be we're going to get weird with this one. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Centrone, originally from Philly, now in the trader of Los Angeles. What's going on, trader? How are you, trader?
I won't go to a Kings game. I would never wear a Kings jersey. Trust me, dude. No.
Is that the only team you know in LA is the Kings?
Exactly. Good point, right?
Or is that the only team you exiled in LA because you've adopted everyone else?
Don't even go there. Don't even put that out in the universe. No, that's honestly all I know about sports.
I will say one thing that the new billboard that the LA Rams put up where it said Los Angeles is greater than St. Louis. Great touch. How to piss off an entire city with one billboard. Full respect.
I admit it's gonna be really cool to see, but I do hate all the people who immediately jumped over that. Like I remember that the day when they announced that, and everyone who I know is from other cities and are sports fans and are always rooting for their home teams. Oh, we're like LA Rams. And I'm like, what kind of fans are you?
How much merchandise have you seen everywhere? Like LA Ram merchandise?
I do that. I don't know if they have it yet. I haven't seen any.
Dan's like, I don't leave the house. I don't leave this.
I don't, dude. And when I go out, it's dark. There's sunlight coming in right now. Yeah.
Are you burning?
This is rare. Yeah.
This is a rare moment. So Dan, for the ladies and gentlemen listening at home, give them a little background on who you are, what you do, all that fun jazz.
Start with the Grammy nominations, Dan.
Yeah. My Grammy nominated producer, Instagram model. What else should I throw in there, Eddie?
You're a certified dive instructor.
Yeah, dive instructor. I'm a
coach.
Music video, life coach, music video, and commercial director from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, living in Los Angeles.
So just to go in perspective here for those listening who have no idea who Dan is and they think, oh, video producer, we just found a normal freelance video producer. Give them an idea of like some of the individuals, both actual like artists and businesses that you have worked with, to give a little like perspective to who your clientele actually is.
I've definitely done way more music videos than I've done commercials. So, Mayday Parade, Riff Raff. If anyone's familiar with rap, I've done like 14 videos for an artist named Kid Ink, Falling in Reverse, a lot of like big scene, like Warped Tour bands, that whole genre, and a lot of like hip hop stuff, a lot of stuff for DJ Mustard, a lot of like, stuff out like that's popping out here in LA right now. And commercials, I've done one for an app for you guys for a company called Cuddle Bids. That was a very raunchy commercial.
Cuddle Bids.
Yeah, and then I did one, a few months ago that came out. That was a spot for this company, an athletic underwear company out here. They did this collaboration with the brand Boot Barn. That's like, if you're like, it's like a Journeys for boots, pretty much. So they did it's like almost like cowboy. It's like cowboy wear, pretty much. Nice. So we did this commercial with these huge mean bulls for that, and like a pro bull rider.
So do you aim to do more music videos, or is it just like you just like started to get into commercials recently?
The commercials are definitely a recent thing, just because not that music videos get old or anything like that. You just want to try new things. It's a whole different market.
What's weird is I think that the budgets for music videos are actually lower than startup, like let's say startup commercials.
But they definitely are, generally speaking.
but you can pull off exactly what you need in the music video realm with that budget. You can't really do that in the startup scene.
Yeah, it really depends, because sometimes like the startups are, Josh, what are you doing?
That's everything.
Sometimes the startup stuff is really just like, I mean, you guys know how it is. It's like a phone or something like that. It's just someone sitting on somewhere on their phone, which can be simple. And then sometimes you see really, I mean, commercials are some of the coolest filmmaking you'll ever see, and they get really, I guess, like downplayed in like not society, but
just because that's the experience I had with.
I feel like people just kind of write off commercials, where you guys know, especially, that it's like some of the most creative people are in marketing and advertising and come up with the coolest ideas ever for commercials.
I've also heard the reverse though. Like, I follow Casey Neistat on YouTube, and he came from the commercial space, and he literally left it because he said it became drainless, motionless, and hated everything about it, and wanted to just do stuff that expressed his own creativity.
So that's kind of something I wanted to get into. That happens in every industry. I think if you get caught in a rut, everything becomes stale, and like that can happen. Casey just got tired of what he was doing, I think, and wanted to do something different, and that was refreshing. And like I was going to ask Dan, like how he avoids, stale ideas. And
hey Dan, how do you get bored? Do you get bored, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, the music videos especially, there's always the same thing, I feel like.
Definitely. I think it's in music. Well, first off, you do different things. So it's like, okay, I can do commercials and, film especially too. So you can have a few things going on at once where it's like, oh, like right now me and my friend are writing a short film. So it's like, if I don't have anything that's really, getting to me creatively in the music video or commercial world, I work on that. You know what I mean? And that keeps you going.
Is the creative process the same for like short films versus music videos versus commercials?
Definitely. Not to me, at least, not to me. And then hold on. And then, so if it's just music videos I'm getting bored with, I think it's a matter of just changing your direction and wanting to work with people who are willing to try new ideas and try different things and stuff like that are open. So, I guess not getting caught in certain genres helps too.
So what excites you the most? Like, what's the thing about what you do where maybe when you're a teenager and start discovering this, you're like, holy shit, I fucking love this. And what still is the same today? Like, why? Because obviously we know firsthand from working together and knowing each other for years. And for those listening again, this is actually a fun one for us because Dan and I make fun of Eddie on like a religious basis. But outside of that, like what is the thing that literally drives you that you think has always remained as a constant? Because it's hard work. What you're doing is not easy. It takes a lot out of you. You deal with all type of people. So what is that drive? Where is it coming from? What is it?
I know you guys can relate to this, but I definitely think it's just working so hard on something for so long and just taking something out of your brain, out of fucking thin air, and then after all this, like, this bullshit, somehow you made it. You know what I mean? It exists now. It's like, holy, like when you're standing there on set and you're looking at the monitor and what you saw in your head is exactly what you're looking at on the screen. It's addicting. It's like a drug. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way when you start working with the company and then all the project's done.
We talked about this the other day, Dan, like, you like being in the trenches, for lack of better words, and being involved in like the hands-on as far as like being on set and actually directing or whatever. But you could be achieving the same thing without actually doing any of that, and just basically managing a team, but you don't like to. And I think I feel the same way about some of the projects I do. Like I would rather be the designer rather than managing a team of designers.
Yeah, like I'm a creative person, like at the end of the day, and that's all I kind of really want to do. So that's just
define. Is your average day more managing or I'm more creative in an average day?
Way almost entirely creative for the most part.
Who does your management? And let's intro him a little bit.
MT, he's in the other room. Right now. Don't bring him in. I'm not going to bring him in. Yeah, then we'll share a headphone or something like that. But he handles a lot of the business stuff and just does all the day-to-day stuff like that. And I just kind of strictly focus on creative.
I actually really want to get into this. So most of the people listening to this show are inspiring entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, or a young entrepreneur. And you bring an interesting dynamic, which is you guys have a true, authentic partnership. You each other, literally, MT, I know him incredibly well, just as much as you. He thrives on the business side, and he lack of better words.
Yeah.
He's incredibly creative. I don't think he's creative with what you do whatsoever, and he would probably burn if he did what you were doing. But he's incredibly creative in his music side, that sort of thing. So I think one of the things here is talk about like your actual like relationship with him. Like, what's it like working with someone one-on-one in that way? Where do you guys complement each other, and kind of what's been some of the hurdles? Because like all good relationships, you both are number ones, and I'm sure you've heard the saying before, you can't have two chefs in the kitchen, right? It doesn't work that way, or it's very difficult. So like, how have you guys kind of made that work?
You cut off for a second. Can you rewind like 20 seconds?
So pretty much what I was saying was, have you ever heard of the quote before? You ever heard two chefs in the kitchen? It doesn't really work.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you guys, because you're both number ones, you both run the company, doing different aspects. How have you guys over the years made your partnership work that other people listening to this could actually apply to their own businesses with finding co-founders or working with a co-founder?
It's a yin and a yang thing. Like creatively, he doesn't touch anything. He lets me do it. Do whatever you want. Do what you have to do. Business stuff. The game plan. That's all him. I don't worry about it. I don't even think about it.
From hating on ideas occasionally, or frequently.
Yeah, I think where we complement each other is that we have similar tastes, and we are, kind of perfectionists, and we're both willing to like just die for this. You know what I mean? Like we're on that same level of like, dude, it's we've been up for 3 days and we just have to finish this. We've always been that way for years. And I think the problem, which I'm sure everyone can relate with in a creative industry, is the business versus art. You know what I mean? Whereas that pull. So I think that's kind of where it goes. Like, what's better for business? What's better for the art? And I think a lot of people who deal with like budgets and all that kind of stuff can relate to that.
Now, did you guys early on set boundaries where you're like, all right, we're doing this. Here's what you're doing. I won't overlap. Or did you guys kind of learn as you go? Like, so for those listening in particular, I feel a lot of co-founders, you hear about disputes, is all because of communication, right? I think communication is the biggest downfall to why partnerships fail. And also too many people bring on someone that's literally like-minded to them versus someone that's going to contradict them or complement them in the ways they need to be complimented because it's their weakness, is their strength.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, why would you have two of the same person? You need people who are specialized in different things, just like a film set. You know what I mean? Like each person on a film set has their job and they're the person you hire to do that because you think they're the best at it. Or, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going to tell the director of photography, or I mean, I will. The director kind of oversees everything. And then you have different people, like you entrust those people to do that job for you. So it goes, I know that this director of photography, the cinematographer, is going to get the look that I want. I know that this costume designer is going to design something I like. I know this production designer is going to make a set that I like. And you have to trust them to do what they do. And I think that's a key, just kind of letting the person do what they're good at. And then on the flip side, I think communication is since that you can tell people how it really is. You can be like, this is fucking awful. Don't do that. You know what I mean? This is terrible. This is a terrible idea.
Do you find yourself,
you know what I mean?
With clients a lot on ideas, or like them? Do they ever, fight with you on art direction or anything like that? Because that happens in, I think, a lot of creative fields.
No, I think maybe I should break down how like the typical music video process.
Go ahead.
So it would be like, whether it be a management company or the label, or, now I have a director's rep. So she sends me music. She's pretty much the only like person sending me music videos now, like just directly through an agency. And so it'll come from them. And then you get sometimes you get a really expansive creative brief, and sometimes you get nothing. Sometimes it's, yo, we want to do this big idea. Here's everything. And you go, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to figure out how I want to do it and make it mine. You know what I mean? Here are the bullet points of what they wanted.
And do you have to worry about all the logistics as far as like locations, equipment?
Yeah.
Crew?
Yeah.
You personally?
Well, us as like a company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Us as a company, or if I started to do it, you know what I mean? I signed to a bigger company now. So as a director, so pretty much now I'm super only creative, only director.
Yeah, dude, congrats on that, by the way. That was cool.
Thank you. It'll be when things are starting to roll a little bit better with it. And,
it's a relatively new thing, right?
Yeah. So it just happened recently. So
you literally just announced it on the show.
Yeah, right.
So
they'll handle all those things, and and just allow me to focus creatively on what I want to do.
So what I want to know is, what do you do when you have a customer or a client or an artist that wants full creative control and wants to conflict your role of what your expertise and skill set is at? How do you handle that?
It depends, because usually off the right away if they let you do whatever. Sometimes when people say, here, that's open, do whatever you want, those are the people that are like fully trusting you, because they go, I'm hiring a professional music
always, because I'll get a client that's like, do what you do because you're, and then I'll present them with an idea and they'll be like, we don't like that, that's not what we want. I'm like, but you left it completely open for me to interpret. Like, how can you tell me that's not what you want?
Here's the difference. Well, sometimes people might want to change little things, and it's not a big deal, but usually a label presents, an artist with a lot of different ideas from different directors. So you're almost competing. You know what I mean? It's all just different. It's like different bids and different ideas. So you're always competing with a new idea. It's your idea versus someone else's idea. And usually in those cases, they might change some things. And most of the time people are pretty chill about not changing what you wrote down. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's what we're going to do, because you have to think that it's like, this is what we're budgeting for. And if you want to change anything, you have to say it ahead of time, and it has to be discussed ahead of time. If not, this is a locked in idea. You know what I mean? Like, I wrote this idea based on this number.
Right.
It would be like, what's messed up? And it's a problem in the effects industry, like the visual effects industry. And I'm sure it's a problem in what you guys do sometimes, where things change along the road. And it's like, you kind of have to put up with it, I feel like. So like a lot of visual effects companies will like lock in a budget for a movie, you know what I mean, that they have for the effects. And then as they go, they're doing all this extra work that ends up just losing them money, because they have to keep changing things. Where this is more like building a house. It's like, no, these are the blueprints for the house.
Right. And we've only within the last couple of years learned how to stick exactly to our scope, if not be more organized in amending contracts or scopes or whatever. And like, that's super important, not only for us, but for the client and their goals and getting the project done.
Yeah. So usually it's like, things are always pretty locked in. If you have problems, most of the time it's beforehand, where people you're kind of trying to iron out exactly what you want. Maybe it's like, the storyline's almost there, but I want to change a couple things, or I want to be presented in a different way, or something like that.
Have you gone over budget on any like larger projects before, and like what happens when you do, or if you are going to?
Yeah, what happens, you always leave room for error, and a little bit of room for error, but sometimes, most of the time when that happens, it's because you thought something could be done a little bit less expensive than it ended up being. You know what I mean? So it's like so
building a wall at the border for $4 billion.
Yeah. So something you write down that you got locked into. It's like, well, shit, I need to make sure that this happens now. This is kind of getting expensive, and I just have to deal with it. I have to eat it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. We don't have that luxury with our budgets. We basically budget for exactly what we need and try to stick to it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I know well enough that if it's something new or something you haven't really done before, you should leave a little bit of room or something like that.
So what is your daily routine? Like, walk me through an average day for you. An average days that you work
all the stops at 7-Eleven.
Well, I wait for my phone alarm to go off, and then I peek out of my coffin to make sure the sun went down, and then I come out of my coffin, and dude, it's always different, but most of the time a lot of it, it's like, people think like, oh, directing, you're on set all the time. It's like, I'm rare, you know what I mean? Like, when you shoot a video, it's like a day, maybe 2 days, you know what I mean? And so most of the time it's spent writing. You're spending a lot of time at your computer. You're spending days, you send a song and you just sit there and listen to it all day.
How many great songs have been ruined for you because of how many times you've had to hear them?
Dude, there's so many songs. I've done songs that like, I've just played. It's usually I'm still excited about it while I'm writing it, and and then if I have to edit it, and then I'm listening to it for like weeks, and then it goes away, and then it like might be on the radio or something like that, and people are like, "Oh my god, yeah!" I'm like, "Turn this fucking thing off!" Like, I've heard this song more times than the person who made it. You know what I mean? So you get real sick of stuff, and it kind of ruins good stuff. Like I'm one of those people that seriously, a video comes out and I just won't ever watch. I will never watch my own videos like later. I mean, I do sometimes, but like, you don't want to hear the song anymore. You're like, you've seen the same images a million times.
Right.
So it's like, it's out in the world and you're already thinking about the next thing and you just kind of let it be the past because you don't want to hear it anymore.
Right.
So here's something going into more technical space here for a second. Video is becoming more and more prominent in the mobile era. I think from Snapchat, Vine, Periscope, you're on Blab right now, Facebook video. Where do you see video going, number one, and how do you see yourself as a major contributor or player in this video space as it keeps maturing?
Video is definitely becoming so important. I think the future, I think the big thing, the next thing is virtual reality, without a doubt.
Are you guys getting into that space?
I'm not personally.
You need to. You definitely can do it.
I've already recommended to MT many times. In fact, a year ago when this was first happening, that you guys should have been the first 360 music video, and that you guys lost that chance to be like, holy crap, a 360 music video. Like, so, but that's not even VR necessarily, but you know, that's a narrative now online.
Even just a year ago, because the technology changes so quickly, even a year ago.
Absolutely. It's different now. It's already different. But I think that's going to be really big in journalism, especially. And I don't know if you guys saw that, the Syrian refugee thing at all. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I did see that. Who shot that?
His name was Chris Milk. So he's actually a big music video director.
Yeah, that was
you
in
heard
the
about
documentary you sent me.
Dan, I know
Yeah,
you're a
I sent you
Snapchat
TikTok.
user. Have you heard the rumor about Snapchat today? What
No.
the rumor is? The
No.
rumor is they're going to be coming out with a feature where if you take like a video and like 360, they have an algorithm that's going to figure it out so you can get a snap and look at a 360 view.
There was a
That's really
product on Product Hunt a couple weeks ago that did that exactly, but it was like real wonky and like.
Well, this is still a rumor I'm bringing up, and I'm sure now I listen to this 10 years from now, I'm going to be like, why the hell did I say that? It never happened.
Yeah.
But it was a rumor I've been But it's awesome.
I think my problem with virtual reality, it's a problem. I just, you know what I
Virtual
mean?
reality is such a problem, Dan. Come on, man. This is such
You got to think like creatively, like me creatively, like I don't care about that. I don't want to do
I look
that.
at it from
You sound like an old dude.
No, well, I look at it
That's
from
just not
your
my
end,
style.
Dan.
Like
And on your end, to me, it's just one more tool in your arsenal that you can now use.
I agree. It's just not the kind of stories I like to tell. I think it's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I think it'd be cool to experiment with, but it's like stylistically, I hate it. Like I'm over stylized. I have a certain look. You know what I mean? It would be like, hey, just from do a couple oil paintings or something, or watercolors.
So you're just comparing virtual reality to oil paintings. Let's be real here.
My job to oil paintings, which is not really the same thing at all.
It's such a different thing. I don't think it's like a part of video. I think it's like, I think there's going to be video. I think there's video games, music, and then I think there's virtual reality. I think it's its own thing.
Well,
like,
I also
that big.
think that most people are overestimating how quick virtual reality will be adopted. So let's be real here about the internet. Let's start the internet as an example. Netscape was commercial email was 1993. In 2008, there were still small businesses who wouldn't get on the web. Now you're telling me that virtual reality within the next 2-3 years, like most people are, is going to be widely adopted. It's going to be 20-30 years before it's a mainstream product.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot to do with the hardware.
You know how I can guarantee that? The other day, I'm on Reddit, and I'm sure you guys saw this, but it was like our freebies, like on the front page, the top of the front page, and it's like,
I know what you're talking about.
It was like, it was like, YouPorn has just entered the virtual reality thing, sending out 100,000 virtual reality YouPorn.
I was literally on another
like,
podcast about
all right,
this.
you're like,
Yeah,
internet,
no,
like everything. Porn drives everything.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was just on a podcast that hasn't aired yet, and I said, if you're an investor, you should just be investing in everything the porn industry does. Like every vertical the porn industry's in, you just put all your money. But here's the thing. Most investors are going to actually lose right now, in my opinion, with virtual reality. They're going to invest thinking they're going to see the returns for 20, 30 years, which none of them are that patient. So unless you're doing a 20, 30-year game, you're 10, 15 years away from when your investments will actually see an ROI that you're willing to wait for. It's still premature.
Why do you think it'll take that long?
Yeah,
I feel like
20 years?
Yeah, that's a long time. I feel like it's moving so
I
fast.
think
20 years ago,
people expect virtual reality to be like the iPhone was for smartphones. And within 2 years, you're like think about it. If you think less than 10 years ago, you can't even remember a time where you didn't own a smartphone.
Yeah, so that's what we're saying. Like, why do you think 20 years is what
Because
it's
I think the difference is, though, the narrative of smartphones, we already had a glimpse of technology there. I look more at the internet as an example of what VR is doing, which is creating a whole new ecosystem around like infrastructure we're not familiar with. And I think people overestimate how long it takes to get mass user consumption. I think us individually will be using VR over the next few years. I think but it's going to be like Mark Andreessen was the Netscape. That era, they were the first ones on it. It took 10 years before anyone else. Seth Godin with commercial email was in 1993. In 1999, 2000s, when email had that famous like Good Morning America, the @ sign. That was like almost 10 years after commercial email already existed. So my opinion here is that VR has a long time to mature. You need to get over the user
think
point.
This is a little different because of Facebook. Because Facebook,
I still disagree. I think Facebook's doing the wise decision, and Mark Zuckerberg's opinion is
I want to leave a legacy.
So
much reach that I think more people know about it, and more people.
I agree. I'm curious what Facebook is going to do with it.
They want to create. They want to be. It's the same thing. Google. Why does Google go in automated cars? Why is Google going wearables? They want to.
Facebook is not a social network at all. Facebook is not just a social network, so you can't think of it like a social network owning Oculus. It's like Facebook owning Oculus and Facebook.
Yeah. No, you're right. I have to look at Facebook as like a bigger thing. Like how they own Instagram and they're changing Instagram around.
Yeah, I don't have an Instagram, but I hear things about notifications and posts and follows.
I read this a few weeks ago. I don't even know if they did it yet. I didn't see it, but
it's happening. I think in the next few days.
But basically, you know how like Facebook just kind of switched up. Like I guess maybe a year or two ago, and you can't like the things that are at the top of your timeline aren't in chronological order anymore. That's what they're doing with Instagram, which sucks because it's like I don't like being told what to look at.
But you see, I actually disagree with you. As on this side of the table, I look at it like I want to see things that I'm going to be most engaged in that I find most relevant to me. Because if I want a chronological order of my Facebook feed, which I really don't try to use as much anymore, in fact, my web browser blocks Facebook's newsfeed now. It's mostly bullshit that I'm just going to hate everyone that's sharing that content.
That impacts ads a lot, and that's good for,
I agree.
You should be happy about that.
I know. It's one of those things.
Now, the only platform I would hate for this to happen, it revolted, was Twitter, because Twitter was a platform built for chronological order, real-time updates. So them doing it would be like sacrificing a lamb. That'd be sacrilegious.
I like what Twitter does, that they remind you like things that you've missed. I do like that, but I don't know. It's like I want to see everyone's posts that I follow. That's why I follow them. If I didn't want to see them or I didn't care as much, I wouldn't follow them. So it's like I'm okay with looking in order, you know what I mean? Or checking. If there's someone specific, I'll go and I'll look. But I hate the idea of like them deciding, like, how does it even know
really
if I'm
curious.
not liking things or if I'm not active? Like, how does that algorithm I want to see? How does it know?
I'm very curious, and like a year from now, we revisit this conversation and see what your feedback is once a year's gone in.
You're always ahead of the game.
And they have so much data. I feel like they know better than we know what we want.
Well, all right, you're talking about this, and we're talking about video content. Let's switch to Netflix. So today, a report came out that Netflix has 35% less movies and TV shows listed than they've had in the last 2 years combined. At the same time, they're averaging an extra 12 million new signups, like paying members.
Because they just trim the fat. It's just bullshit.
Yes and no. I mean, they didn't update their contract with Epic, so there's no more Wolf of Wall Street, World War Z. The thing that Netflix is banking on is the years of data they've collected. Is now they're making movies and television shows based off the data they've used and creating their own content.
They just, like the other day or last week, they seriously, like in like the film Twitter world, like this thing just blew up. It was all over Twitter, all over Deadline, all the, like the Hollywood blogs and stuff like that. But they outbid every other major studio by like, you know what I'm talking about?
The Will Smith thing?
Yeah. So for a Will Smith movie, they're like for 90 million, they bought this whole thing, like budget, all the actors and all that stuff. 90 million, they outbid every other major studio by I think like 40 or 50 million dollars.
Because they know what they need, they know what they want. They have data.
Yeah, they literally just like, no, we're taking this and just outbid everyone. And now they have a Will Smith movie that is supposed to be an R-rated Men in Black, which is going to be fucking awesome. I'm curious to see. This is the first time that it's like a blockbuster, something that could be a blockbuster coming out only on the internet.
Well, it's really interesting too to bring up R-rated. Deadpool today just became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Revenue.
I Are you serious? I haven't seen it yet.
Seen it?
No, dude.
Are you kidding me?
I haven't seen Batman versus Superman either.
You're not missing much of that one. You're not
gonna-
missing much of that
Nobody
one.
cares about
I was
Superman.
going on this big rant the past few days, but it's like I'm one of those people that complains like.
No,
stop
what
putting-
you would like Batman versus Superman only for one reason: the cinematography, because Snyder has a great cinematography.
Really? I think it's
No,
so.
you would think the story. You would think the story would suck, which it does. You would think the acting sucks, which it does. You would think,
I saw the trailer. I know what it looks like. It looks like it sucks.
no, if you saw the trailer, you saw the movie, because the trailer is the movie. That trailer gave away the entire movie in the trailer too, which also sucks.
Yeah,
but it's
so,
like I'm one of those people that's like, I don't want to see any more fucking franchises. I don't want to see another stupid superhero movie. I don't want to see whatever.
they should stop putting
Fast and Furious 25.
Here's the answer: the consumer has to. Well, here's the solution: the consumer has to stop spending the money on franchises.
That's the problem. It's people that are like, well, especially like a lot of hard people. Like, why are they remaking this? Are you kidding me? We gotta go see it. We gotta go see it and see how bad it is. And it's like, stop seeing these because you're the reason they make them.
Let's talk about this for a second. Marvel has like 12 movies coming out. Star Wars has like 15 movies announced.
God.
DC has 10. Jurassic Park has 2 more. Harry Potter has 3 more coming out. I believe there's talks about a Lord of the Rings spinoff that's going to be coming out.
Furious has at least one more movie coming out.
So literally,
I
all the
forget
major blockbusters that you're thinking about are all franchises. Like, what's the best like individual movie you can think of offhand you've seen recently? I think Interstellar might be the only one that comes to mind initially for me. And
That wasn't even that original, considering it was basically Space Odyssey.
No, you're right. Well, that's a modernized Space Odyssey, but still, that was original compared to franchise.
What's the last original movie I saw?
I think that Hardcore Henry is really original, and Dan and I had this conversation the other day. I think that's going to be an awesome movie.
I think it's going to be cool. I just don't want to see it. I would get so sick of the first person that I hate that movies. I hate handheld. I hate found footage.
You didn't like the Blair Witch Project?
All right, I love the Blair Witch Project. There's a few movies like that I actually really like, and there's a movie before the Blair Witch Project called The Room. The Last Broadcast, and it's about the New Jersey Devil, and it all takes place in New Jersey. And it came out like a few years.
How have I never heard of this?
Dude, it's awesome. It's so cool. Just check it out.
Wait. Since we're talking to a videographer here, a video producer, a content suave. All right, continuing. What is your top 5 movies for everyone listening right now?
I can't name it. I can't figure that out.
Spitball, like ones that come to your head immediately. Do you think of favorite movies? What comes to your head?
Dude, I have so many.
Titanic.
I love Titanic. There's so many different movies I like for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like some are just awesome. Some are.
All right. Let's do the name game. When I say action movie, you think?
Ooh. Honestly, probably like the first Fast and Furious movie is one of my favorite, or like Point Break, which they're the same movie.
When I say comedy, you think?
Ooh, dude, I honestly don't watch too many.
You can't put them on the spot like that, man.
Yeah, man. I don't. There's so many. I don't know.
All right, television. When I think television drama, you think?
The Wire.
Dude, any HBO show, pretty much. I'll watch whatever HBO does on. Except I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I swear.
Neither have I.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I need to just get into it.
I feel like since you waited this long,
ever is the OC.
I feel like since you both have waited so long with Game of Thrones. Wait, before we talk,
he said the OC was the best TV show ever.
So before we talk OC, how ridiculous that is,
and the episode.
I think you two should wait until Game of Thrones is done and just binge watch the whole show at once. Like that's the only way. You've waited so long. Don't torture yourself. Like I torture myself with Breaking Bad by getting in the show, and it's very second to last season. So I had to go through 2 seasons of hell.
Yeah.
We should. Gil's question about YouTube Red and their own content and everybody else getting into the original content game, I think, is a good question to cover. Because I mean, are you affected by the wall, Dan? Like with your videos and shit, like the paywall?
No, not at all.
How does that work? Because I'm not I'm not a content.
We handle it like upfront. It's like an upfront thing every time, and if they take it, they take it and do whatever they want with it. Any back pay or whatever, like I don't get involved in that.
So you don't, even for your personal channel, you don't have any.
I don't even have a personal channel.
You don't have a YouTube channel?
No. I don't. I have a Vimeo channel.
That's weird. Why do you decide not to use YouTube?
Well, what I put on it. That's the thing. Like
your videos, the ones that you create as like, or a demo reel or something.
because those are owned, you know what I mean? Those are owned by like the record labels and stuff like that. It's like re-uploading someone's song. Like I can't put an official video out there, you know,
So
under my channel too.
You don't have the use for like portfolio purposes.
No, I have that, but you can't put it on YouTube. It'll be taken down, like with all the copyright stuff. But that's why I have it on my site. I have it on Vimeo. You want it on Vimeo anyway. It's going to look better. Vimeo is like, you know, a portfolio site.
Okay.
So let's talk marketing. So when you started,
real quick, do you care if I rewind real quick?
No.
No.
I think you guys will like this. So we were talking about like big movies and all the franchises and stuff like that. So that middle ground. So those are all whatever $100 million, $200 million movies. Like, they're all huge, right? All just let's spend all this money on it and make sure we make it back. So that there's this middle ground of budgets that are disappearing. You know what I mean? Where it's like risky to spend $20 million on a movie. So there's this company that does a lot of horror films. They did like Paranormal Activity. They did Whiplash. You know what I mean? So they got some Oscars for that,
though.
Right? So they've done that too. They have a bunch of movies. They're called Blumhouse Films, and it's like they're really big in horror movies. But they have like these. It's really like it's like a really new cool thing. So they have a strict set of rules where it's like it has to be under $5 million. We have to shoot it in LA.
Is that indie?
No, it's not. Right? So. It's like we have to do it for under $5 million. We have to do this. All the above the line people, all the actors, directors, all the big creative people, the producers, everyone gets paid deferred. You know, everyone gets paid later after the movie makes its money back. So they'll do it so cheap, $3, $4, $5 million. You know what I mean? Like The Purge 2, The Conjuring, or Insidious. Like those are those kinds of movies. They do a lot of that stuff. And they so if you know. A lot of movies, it's like, all right, we just spent $50 million and we made $50 million back. You know what I mean? And they're like, we just spent $3 million. We put out Ouija, made $100 million. Everyone got paid more. Everyone's getting this big percentage of this huge cut. And we can just keep pumping them out because they're so cheap. No matter what, we're going to make our money back. If it's a $5 million movie.
Filling that market. You're talking about like shitty horror films, basically.
No, not shitty. These are good movies. These are movies that go out in the theater. And think about it. They just did Whiplash. They won Oscars for that. You know, they're putting out good content.
What other films do they do like Whiplash? Because I know what you're talking about. I know they do a lot of horror films.
God, I don't know. I know they're getting like more serious films and stuff like that. But the thing was, they have
LA.
Yeah, they have a horror side. Yeah, Whiplash was shot in LA. They have a horror sci-fi deal, kind of. I forget what studio it is, but pretty much they have a green light to just do whatever movies they want in that genre range under $5 million, and they just can keep cranking them out. And they're not bad because they only take like veteran directors like James Wan, who did the new Fast and Furious, who's done all the Saw movies, who's doing the new God, what is that superhero that's underwater? Aquaman. You know what I mean?
He's got a huge, basically working for equity then.
Yeah, because they you know what I mean? And the thing is that it also allows them more creative control. They just go, here's $5 million, do whatever you want. We don't care. You know what I mean? Like we literally can't lose on this because no matter what, we're going to send our sell our distribution rights overseas and in the US, and we're going to make our money back from the start. We don't lose money. It's impossible. So, and then any money after that, you know what I mean? It's
so
just
what's stopping another production company or a video company doing this and then starting to saturate the market?
Centrone Films from doing this.
Yeah.
Capital.
Yeah. Let me borrow a couple now.
I got the creative direction.
No, I think it's taken them a long time to build. The networks to be able to just immediately make their money back and get things in the theaters and all that. So, you know, that's a lot of work and it's a lot of stuff. They have, you know, they're backed by a major studio. But I think other people are going to start doing that. And I've heard.
So basically, we're only going to have 2 tiers of movie one day: the super low budget films and the $200 million blockbusters, and that's pretty much it.
I think
what Dan's saying is that they're filling that middle class of movie, right?
Yeah, the middle class. Because think about it. Instead of an actor saying, "Yo, I want 5," instead of a star being like, "I want $5 million," they go, "All right, take almost nothing for this." And if this movie makes $100 million, you're not going to make $5 million. You're going to make $15 million. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're like, look at this track record, of course. So they're able to cut down on all these immediate expenses that a lot of movies would have right from the start. So, and do it that way.
Are you trying to get into the feature film?
Eventually, yeah. Eventually, definitely.
Wasn't that what Robert Downey Jr. did with Marvel? Isn't he a percentage of the income of Marvel movies?
Yeah, I think
I believe
he is.
Riley Jr. is the only actor that has
He
like
probably-
a percentage of earnings of all Marvel
he's
movies.
made so much money from Iron Man and stuff like that because I think he took a cut so that he could take a percentage.
I'm actually
like,
googling that right now.
He's the David Cho of the superhero movies. You know what I'm talking about? The dude who painted the Facebook office. You have to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
This dude in like 2007 or 2006, he's like a famous graffiti artist.
Here it is right here. After Iron Man 1, during Iron Man 2's budget, he said one of two things: you're paying me this ridiculous amount of money, or I get equity in the stakes. And he used his fact that they were building an ecosystem around him, and his brand became so a part of Iron Man they couldn't just take him out. So, and they ended up giving to his need of equity because they didn't want to just give him $100 million for a movie payment. And
yeah,
what he has
exactly.
And Marvel's literally printing money for Disney, literally printing money. So Star Wars already.
So, yeah. Oh, and David Cho, dude, Eddie. So he's like a famous graffiti artist, painted the Facebook offices. And instead of taking like 60 grand or whatever it was at the time, he just took stock. And like like 3 years ago, he like cashed out for like $200 million.
IPO.
$200 million after they went public, it was $200 million.
I didn't know about that.
$60,000. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, Facebook did make the most millionaires instantly in history of any company IPO. Keep that in mind.
I didn't know that.
This is actually a conversation I had with someone recently. Was that like so many people become an entrepreneur when they shouldn't be, but would make great like founding employees. And you think like the third employee of Facebook is regretting not starting his or her own company after she exited with probably like $800 million after IPO?
That's a good point.
So one of the things I want to talk about here a little bit more is when you started early and you had no name to attract these huge names. Like talk about how you started and how you worked your way up to working with the Kid Inks, the Mayday parades.
Yeah, how did you make those connections? And what was it because of branding? Was it because of personal networking? Was it
it's both, dude? It's everything. It's everything. It's being able to just kind of like, I mean, at first you start off and you're like, you don't work with any big names and you're just like, I just want to make cool videos.
How did you guys link up with like Kid Ink and Ja Lil? Like, how'd you link up with that? Because that's the Philly music scene, or is it because
no? One thing just leads to the next. So you got to think that every time you put out a video, a group of people see it. So it's like we put out one, and then someone sees that and goes, "Oh man, that was cool. I want to." And then you get an email, and it's like, "Oh shit, this guy emailed us." And then
word of mouth.
You do one, yeah, and then you do one for that person. Then someone else sees it, and then you kind of just one thing leads to another. And before you know it, you've worked with all these people, and you can almost use that as like leverage to attract.
So
more
were you finding like a bottleneck in Philly that you had to move to LA because you were reaching a plateau? Like, what was the deal with who suggested the move to LA? Was it both of you, or like wanted to do that, or you decided?
Both, yeah. No, we came out here one time, and then we like came back to Philly, and we were like, dude, I've always wanted to live here, like since I was younger.
That was my favorite city of all the cities I lived in over the last few months. Like that was my favorite. Seriously? Yeah, I loved LA.
Yeah. So the first time we came here, well, I mean, I've always wanted to live here, like since I was younger. I've been watching like Entourage since like 8th grade. So I was like, dude, LA, like I need to do that. And then like we came out here like to probably the first time like what year is it? 2016, like 4 years ago, I guess. And we were just like, we need to fucking move. And then, we're like, all right, time isn't right. Then one thing led to another. And then I was flying here like fucking every other month.
Oh, I remember that. You were like,
yeah, so I would fly. Yeah. There was like it was like that Wonder Year song, dude. Like, there was a year I spent on flights. It was crazy. Yeah. Like I was just all over the place. I visited so many places. And then I was coming here for I would stay at my friend Jake's. You guys know Jake. And I would stay there for like 3 weeks at a time and then fly back to Philly for 2 weeks and then fly back here. And I was like, I need to fucking move. So then the next time, instead of flying there and staying, I just stayed. And we just stayed here and moved here.
How much work did you have out there before you decided it was time to make the move, like officially?
It got to the point where like all like the label.
What was the percentage of like LA clients versus the rest of them?
Overwhelming. Almost, you know what I mean? Like it went from like 1 to 2 to like, all right, all the major labels and everyone shoot their videos there and everything happens there.
Did it become like a problem for you to shoot? Because I feel like LA is a lot harder to shoot in than Philly.
Yeah, yeah. One of the cool parts about Philly, or I don't know about anymore, Eddie or Josh, you can probably speak on this because you can probably look out your window right now.
Let's find out.
But the city does not look how it used to look, and by used to I mean like even 2 years ago. And you can just you can get away with anything there. You can film wherever, which is always cool.
Ever, like you can go out and
you can seriously get away with anything, which is always cool. But I mean, on the flip side, it's like everything also in LA is a bit more official. The projects
you can't
are
even pull out your cell phone in a cafe in LA without getting a permit.
Yeah, dude. So like but on the flip side, yeah, everything's more official here. So, but you're working with bigger people. You can't, you have to do that stuff. You have to make sure everything is official.
What do you
and the projects are bigger
from Philly since you've been in LA?
Dude, everything. Wawa. Yes. Wawa, especially. Just the food in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Philadelphia is such an underrated food scene. It really does. Like the food scenes are ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, the Reading Terminal Market is like the best.
My favorite place in the city. That's totally my favorite place.
It might be the happiest place on earth. You have like Amish people, soul food.
I've never had a bad experience at Reading Terminal Market.
No, dude, it's so good.
For those listening who don't know what the Reading Terminal Market is, which is a great sin for our listeners, somebody describe what the Reading Terminal actually is, so they have a good idea in their heads.
It's a huge indoor market of different vendors, different kinds of foods, different ethnicities, different cultures. This is like a big building full of culture. And great food. Oh my God.
I'm right in the dead center of the city.
Yeah.
There's that. I especially miss the biggest thing I miss is the bars and party scene in Philly is so different than LA.
No more parties in LA, Dan?
Dude, no, everything's so segregated here. You know what I mean? And I'm a dive bar guy, and that's most of Philadelphia. You know what I mean?
Philly and AC. That's all they have.
Yeah, that's like all of Philadelphia. That's all you have. You go in, you get a citywide, you get a shot of whiskey and PBR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's what I like. And they're just a little bit more down to earth at the bars. You know what I mean? They're a little bit grungier and a little bit more fun. And the big thing is people are way more mixed in. And like so LA, like everyone's so separated. All the different cultures are separated where it's like, Philly, you go to a party or you go to a bar, you go to like a special like party night at a bar or something like that. And it's like you like the hip hop people, the skaters, like punk people, like everyone is mixed in together. Like college kids, everyone's in the same room, like listening to the same music.
Missed the early November with Through Being Cool afterwards at the Fillmore.
Was that the other night?
That was 2 nights ago, I think, or 3 nights ago. I didn't go either. I was going to go last minute, but I didn't.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of shows happening there I'm missing. I feel like, I saw everyone posting that the Movie Life was playing. I was pissed.
Yeah, I heard it was an awesome show. And I heard the Fillmore's really cool. I haven't been there yet.
It's a beautiful venue. No. Absolutely beautiful.
2 years ago, I used to shoot music videos back behind there, and like it used to be completely abandoned and run down. It looked awesome. And I drove by there. I was home for Christmas. I was like driving around, and I was like, this city looks so different.
It was hysterical, Eddie. I don't even know I tell you the story. I literally run out to grab a slice of pizza, and I run back, and I hear, Josh? And it's Dan out front.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I forgot that happened. Yeah. I was at the Piazza, and I went to get my haircut, and I was like, I wonder if I'll run into Josh. And I literally just walk outside, and I just see this dude walking down the street with a piece of pizza. And I was like, yo, what are the odds of this?
He manifested me. It was literally manifestation.
It was crazy. I was like, what are the odds that I was like, I'll probably see Josh.
Manifest
and then I
Joshua.
saw you. If I had waited 10 more seconds in the barbershop, I would.
Or if I just decided to like spend 10 more seconds in the pizza place, or like 10 seconds to get food later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like the universe. So going back into early starting and building a brand, for the entrepreneurs listening at home, especially the ones that have more creative tendencies, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
I think you need to. It's hard to, especially when you're working for other people and trying to bring like their thing to life. So it's like in music videos, it's like, it's not just mine, it's theirs too. It's their song. You know what I mean? They're in it. So, but I think you have to try and stay true to what you want to do as much as possible. Where if you really feel like it's like, God, I don't want to do this idea. This isn't me. I'm not going to do this well. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't working. I'm not vibing with this concept or something like that. You need to be like, I don't want to do this.
You can't do it all the time, because early on you have to keep the lights on for lack of better words. You need to keep money coming in. So what point can you start doing that? At what point can you start saying no to things? Or can you ever, like, at a certain
You can all the time. But I think you just need to strive to try and keep your artistic like integrity as intact as possible. I'm laughing because I'm wearing a shirt right now that says integrity on it. I realized how weird that is.
You planned, didn't you? You planned this the whole time.
No, but I was like, God, I can't think of another word right now, and I have to say it.
So fake it till you make it, or being, appearing as though you're making it, even though you're not. So we talked about this the other night, which was
that's why I'm laughing.
I shared
right
a
now.
photo on Facebook, which I shared from someone else. It said like we have a generation obsessed with looking successful rather than being successful, and I think it's true. And I think to a certain point, it's kind of necessary to get your feet to get your business off the ground and to get your yourself rolling. But then after that, you need to actually grind. I mean, you should be doing that the whole time. Can you attribute any of your success to creating a falsified image of your grind, or were you always just?
No, dude, that's not me. I feel weird doing that, and I feel like I just really just would. I think what I did, I only put out there the stuff that you want out there and stuff like that, or if there's something you're really proud of, you really push it out there in the world, or you send it to people and you show it to people, and you try and get it to the right people. I think sometimes it's not.
I think
it's not about like getting
in the way that like
everywhere. Yeah.
Early on, Josh and I especially, and I think you probably the same way. It wasn't about getting paid. It was about just doing something creative and putting work out there that people enjoyed. And I think that was motivation.
And it's honestly still about that. It really is still about that. You know what I mean?
Definitely, but then things come into like your life changes and responsibility changes and things like that, and it does become about getting paid to a certain point.
To a certain point, but at the same time, if you don't have like that creative drive anymore, it's just like, why do you even do it? Why are you even doing it? But I still have that. I still have things I want. It's a million things I want to do.
So it's funny because I think. Go ahead.
No, finish this up first.
Like, so at first, I don't think it was as much as like trying to get it out there, like to all these people and stuff like that, where it's much as it is like, I did this cool thing and I'm going to target it at the right people who I think can help me turn it into something better. You know what I mean? So it was like, I could do a video
better with the business end of things.
Yeah. So I could do a video for my friend's band, and then I could take it to another friend's band, you know what I mean? And be like, dude, I just did this for them. If we do this, we can do it even better. You know what I mean? Like it can be bigger now. And then you take that and you send it to other people, and if we do this, we can do it better. And you just kind of build on that.
But back to like the image thing, I think in a way with like, I don't want to talk shit on the millennial generation, but I think we're just being more honest now. Like something like that, you think like kids don't really, like a lot of people don't really want to work. They just want to look like they're successful. And that's true. Like that's as true as you can get. Like people, not everybody.
I don't think that's just a millennial thing. I think this is human nature.
Right. So
people don't want to put in the work, but they want the dividends of putting in the work. That's
exactly.
human nature.
It's been happening for a while. But
that's not just millennial. I don't think we should general. I know people.
I know.
Like,
all right. The difference is that social media has made it much more accessible to see.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we're any more guilty of it than another generation. We are just more honest about it.
Putting it out there. Yeah. And it's funny because we talked about it the other night, and then I was like, I went on another big rant with someone else, and I just kept talking about it. But it's like this thing where it's like not like a famous like filmmaking quote or whatever like that, but like Robert Rodriguez, like this big director in like the 90s and stuff like that. Like he was big, like made like a first movie like for like super cheap in like the early 90s, and it's this big thing. And he would always be like, "Oh, you," and it's like what I grew up hearing. Like you say, once you say you're a director or a filmmaker, you are a filmmaker, right? And it's like that really held true for a really long time. And I realized like it's not the same anymore, because what we were talking about, it's like people can just put whatever in their social media.
That's why I introduced as a Grammy nominated.
Exactly. That's why we're making those jokes.
I actually believe the same thing with entrepreneurship. If you actually call yourself an entrepreneur, you're not an entrepreneur. That's just the reality of it.
It's a label that kind of makes you seem.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I got into kind of talking about like the gray areas of it, where I'm like, all right, well, someone can say they're an artist and put "I'm an artist" on their Instagram, right? It's like artist, whatever, and you go, well, who am I to say that person isn't an artist? You know what I mean? Where is that line drawn? And then I got into this.
Art, it's so subjective.
Yeah, exactly. So we see it more in, we were talking about, we see it more in creative industries. You know what I mean? Photographers, models, filmmakers, music, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. And it's one of those things where I'm so like punk DIY, stick it to the man, like do it your own way, like figure out a new way to do it, whatever. But I've grown to be like appreciative of tastemakers, because the internet and social media and things have just put so much fucking trash in the world that we need someone to siphon through it for us to find the good stuff and be the one to say this is what's good and this is what's bad. Because if not,
Ian Connors in every single.
Oh boy,
does he really have a hardcore root or background?
Yeah. So if we want to talk about that, but
I mean, you could just go into it a little bit. We can cut it out later.
Yeah, MT brought it up to me the other day, and he's like, "Do you know who that is?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "No," but that name sounds familiar. And I was like, "You know what, dude? I saw my hardcore friends on Twitter tweeting about him a couple weeks ago." So I put out this tweet, and I was like, "Yo, someone tell me the hardcore back." I think you saw it. I said, "Someone tell me the hardcore backstory with Ian Connor," and it like snowballed into like 50 tweets with like screenshots and like all this stuff. And
I didn't see the thread. I just saw the original tweet. That's crazy.
I'll have to send you like all the screenshots.
He came out of nowhere, I feel like, because all of a sudden I just started seeing him hanging out with like Kanye and ASAP, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
No, he was like in the hardcore punk scene in like New York and like Atlanta or something like that, and people just didn't like him. So like a bunch of stuff happened that people just apparently literally ran him out of the ran him out. He pivoted
for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this. This is the keyword, pivoted. All right, bringing it back.
He wasn't invited back anymore apparently, and then somehow like a year or two later, or a few years later, he's like hang out with Kanye West. I don't know how that happens, but I think that says
he did a great successful pivot.
The importance of branding.
Yeah, he understood the market need and he created it.
Literally fake it till you make it.
So circling back here, let's get a little deep here for a second, Dan. I want to know this. What has been the biggest failure of your What is the biggest stop it, Eddie? What has been the biggest failure of your career, and how have you learned or overcome that?
I don't think it's one thing. I think it's like a certain mindset that like got into my brain that I have been able recently to pretty much kill. But you just think things are going to be I mean, maybe you can relate where things kind of happen fast at first, and not like it's not necessarily beginner's luck, but things move really fast at first sometimes, and you think it's always going to be like that, and you forget, you kind of lose, track of how fucking hard this shit is and how long things really take to come to be. You know what I mean? And you kind of go, man, I should be doing this by now, or I should be doing movies by now, or blah, blah,
you
blah,
kind of get lost in the grind, in the routine, I guess, and you forget that you are trying to get to a certain point.
Yeah, it's just like you just think things are going to happen a lot easier than they are, and then you kind of get slapped with reality, and you're like, no, this is going to take a long time to fucking make happen. You know what I mean?
What kind of goals do you guys have set right now, like long term, like just off the wall if they are? I don't care. Like, what are you guys looking at for your future?
I mean, I definitely want to eventually get into feature films and stuff like that. Absolutely.
And what prevents you from doing that now, other than like budgets? Or could your agency that you're working with or your production company pull off a feature film?
No, the production company definitely could. They do feature films, but it's like, dude, it's asking a lot. It is literally going to someone and going, check out these ideas I have. Give me $1 million.
Well, I mean, that's what people in the startup scene do on a regular basis. If you go to San Francisco, there's people doing that.
Here's the difference. I mean, but it's like with startups, at least there's like
what?
There's a little. I see. I don't know the startup market, so I can't.
It's not a newer market.
I can't really speak on it, but it's like, dude, making money from a movie is fucking hard to do, dude. Like, you see, fucking people will lose money on like huge movies. You know what I mean, with stars in it. So it's like,
why is that?
When
why
you do this little thing and you go, give me $1 million. You go, give me $1 million.
Batman vs Superman, for example, needs to make $800 million to break even.
Holy shit.
Which they just broke a bunch of. They made like so much money.
Yeah, they had the biggest opening weekend. But here's the issue: is now the virality of everyone saying how bad of a movie it is probably going to kill it moving forward.
But all right, so why is it so hard to make?
They don't care anymore
on a feature film, Dan.
Dude, well, I mean, you gotta. There's so much shit out there, and being in a position where, well, DVD. Who buys DVDs anymore? Some people do.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean, some people buy Blu-rays.
If you are up
some people stream, but you have to be in theaters, like selling fucking tickets. And the only way you're gonna do that is like, even if you're $1 million movie, you still need to spend. You still need to get like picked up by a major studio or something like that, where they're gonna put $5 million, $10 million of marketing into your movie on top of that. You know what I mean? So it's like, you'll see when you see the budgets sometimes of movies, it's like, oh yeah, they did that for $1 million. They did it for $800,000. It's like, and it was in theaters, and it's like, yeah, it was in theaters, and they spent fucking all this money on billboards and trailers and putting it, and so people would go see it to try and make that
the better chance for production companies or whoever the idea is to make money on content originals like Netflix and YouTube Red and those kinds of mediums? Would you be open would you be open to having your first feature film released on just Netflix rather than in theaters nationwide?
Absolutely. I think especially I think we're getting there, which is sort of sad in a way, because it's like the movie theater is awesome. You know what I mean? Most filmmakers will be like, dude, but it's meant to be seen on a big screen. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if you have a big 4K TV or something like that, and you're doing that, like the new Sean Parker thing, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Did you see that, Josh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like a new like way that you can literally like pay for new movies like in your own home, and that's awesome. And I would do that. I would pay for that. I would have no problem putting my movie out through that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's cool. I think that's the way it's going to be soon.
So here's a broad question. It's very broad. I know it's difficult to answer, but what makes a good video a good video?
What makes a good video a good video? Yep. Like a good music video, a good commercial, a good film? Any
narrative, music, film, commercial. What is going to be a good video? Like, what's going to be content that someone's going to like?
In one like nutshell, I think the most important thing is that you feel some type of way when you're done it, whether that be happy, sad, excited, motivated. Think about the movies you left that you were like, wow,
relatable.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be relatable. I mean, I guess if you feel that way, you do relate to it. But think about the best movies you've seen where you're like, wow, that was awesome. You feel something. The commercials that made you the most upset. The Sarah McLachlan with like the cats and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you feel sad. Those are good commercials. Or like a Nike commercial that has like a fat kid running really slow, and then at the end it says, just do it, or whatever that one campaign was. And it's like, damn, that's a powerful commercial. A music video that you were like, man, that was fun to watch. That was a ride. I think just making you feel some type of way. And I think all the little things go into that. The choreography, the cinematography, the song itself, the story, the acting, all that stuff all comes together to make you feel a certain type of way.
What is the most underappreciated part about what you do?
Underappreciated. No, that's a good question. I do the whole fucking thing, and I'm sure you guys get it too. People have no
everything is underappreciated. I am not appreciated at all.
People have no fucking idea, dude. People really have no idea what it takes to make something sometimes. And I like, how many people have been like, let's have come to you guys like, oh, I have this much money. Can you give me all these things? And they're like, oh, you can't just do it real quick. And you're like, yo,
I don't want to call. I never want to call people out, but we literally had someone fill out our contact form last week who basically asked, this is pretty much what it said, how much to make a clone of Amazon? ? And my first reaction is Amazon.com, AWS, Amazon. Amazon is like, so I mean, I get it completely, and
exactly.
But part of it, I feel like the underappreciation isn't actually underappreciation as much as
it's like a lack of
knowledge. Yeah, it's lack of knowledge in the industry, because if you know the industry, then you understand.
You definitely appreciate it. Absolutely. And it makes you question other industries and stuff like that, like things that don't seem like they're anything. You go, no, there's definitely something behind that I just don't see. And it's like, you guys, you'd be like, dude, that's going to take a team of like 8 of us, like 7 months to do that. We can't do that. The same with us. It's like, sometimes like, people will like come to us with like film ideas or something like that. And they're like, yeah, we want to, we can just do it like Paranormal Activity or something like that. And it's like, yo, what you just told me, what you just asked me if I could do or whatever is going to cost you like $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, it's like people just have no fucking idea. And it's hard because it's one of those things where it's like you want to educate people, but at the same time, it's like movie magic is a thing. You know what I mean? You do like, there's a reason that people don't know.
So I'm a big believer when
so well.
people come to me or us, I should say, and fill out a form such as how much to clone Amazon. I feel like it's almost my moral duty to educate them. So like I'll respond back like, listen, you're going to be spending, if you wanted to recreate Amazon, probably $25 million to do the whole infrastructure before everything else. I'm like, so let's break down the rationale why and really understand what you're asking for. And I'll do that. Now, 99% of the time, they'll not respond back because they're probably that 1%, and this is a great example here, they'll come back a couple of years later and like, I remember you introduced me, you made me understand the industry, and I ended up figuring out a way to fit my budget needs or maturing idea or doing something now because of what you've done. And that makes it worth it. In fact, not to call anyone out here,
I feel like we have a shout out coming up.
We have Mr. Gil on the call, and Gil, who's here, he's a client of ours listening on this Blab Live. For those who aren't here live, you are missing out.
Hey, what's up, Gil?
See, it's a Gil at Dissolve coming soon. He reached out to us almost a year earlier before he worked with us, and that initial contact turned into him reaching back out again, which turned him into a customer of ours that, you know, we absolutely love. It's just so much fun for us. In fact, we had a meeting earlier today with his team. But that is an example of that 1%, that dividend, that dent you made. I feel the same thing in movies and everything else under appreciation. But you're right. There's 100%. But you're going to get to anything. I think it's the same thing from food, art, movies, technology, hardware, engineering. It's always going to happen because we're masters of our craft, right? And at the end of the day, the people who don't understand the craft, what's good, as said by Gil. You know, that's something that we spend our entire lives, or a large portion of our lives, understanding. And people, you know, the same thing. You don't understand our craft, like we don't understand yours necessarily. Though we have mutual respect because I also think once you master a craft, you can then mutually respect other crafts that are similar in nature.
Exactly. Yeah. You understand. It's like, if it takes me all this work to do just this, I'm sure it takes them a lot to do that.
Exactly. So I also think, it builds emotional intelligence. That's what kind of does.
The good thing about working where it's probably a little bit different from where you guys are coming from, unless you're working with like serial entrepreneurs that are like, yep, here's my new website. I've done this a million times. They know what goes into it. So it's like with us, it's like, if you work with record labels or management companies or whoever, it's like they know how this shit works. They've done it a million times. They know what to expect. They know how much things cost, and they know how much have to be put into certain things to make it, make it grand.
So let's talk one more business question here, because I'm very, very curious. From a pricing standpoint, especially in your industry, you have the 14-year-old kid across the street who swears they can make a video for $500. You have the other firm that will charge $2 million for a video you can do for $20,000 and then some. How did you guys find your market fit, and what was the trial and error process like to get there for those that are also probably facing similar situations listening to this?
I feel like you haven't found it yet.
No, I mean, the thing is, there is no, like, you just want to keep getting big. I mean, especially creatively, you just want to keep getting bigger and cool ideas. Not all the time, but it's like, especially in film, it's like the more money you spend, the more cool shit you can do. It's like, if I have money to blow up a car, or, you know what I mean? Like, or burn down this building or whatever. I like destroying things. But it's like,
can we make a music video where we just destroy things for like 30 minutes?
You can do something for $500 and make it awesome, but it's like, that's where the creativity comes in. And that's where, but at the same time, it's like, you need to know what you're trying to do. If you want something to look like a motion, like a film that'd be out in theaters, like, you have to spend a lot of money. And I think with commercials too, you're also paying a big tax on true creativity, someone who's really making your idea stick out. And I think that's, you look at big music videos and big commercials, it's like, damn, that was really interesting. That was creative. I haven't seen that before. And that's more, sometimes that's the most important part.
How many times a month do you want to strangle MT?
We do it every day. Do it every day. It's never about anything serious. It'll always be about the smallest thing ever.
You guys do fight about dumb shit.
It's never about something. If it's something serious, we'll be like, all right, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. All right, let's do the plan. Let's do it. If it's something, if it's like, dude, I can't even think of, like, should we buy green expo markers or blue expo markers or something, and it will literally end in like a 5-hour conversation.
You guys won't talk after that.
Yeah.
All right, so serious question, have you acquired a couch yet?
Fuck no, dude. We don't do
You
that here.
promised me a couch. I will be
Maybe.
here in 2 weeks.
No,
Not even-
my bike's out there. You can sit on my bike.
Oh, great.
All right. So should I share everyone, Eddie, the horror movie plot that happened by the time we stayed at dance place that one time?
Well, first let's just mention.
You guys stayed there the first week I moved in, right? I think you were there like right when I moved.
First, we slept on the floor because you had no furniture. But second, you know the horror movie plot that happened to me one night? Like, it was literally the most. It's the most
No, I need to hear this. Yeah, you guys were seriously there like the first week.
terrifying moment in my.
Freezing to death. The windows were open and I had no blanket and I was no pillow. I was just on carpet. I ended up sleeping in the closet.
There's this great.
But that's
There's
not
this
the
great
horror
picture
movie.
that
That's
Josh
not.
has I need to get from you because I just have my phone, but I got a new phone. And it's like the Steve Jobs like picture where he's like in the garage, but it was like seriously like the day we moved in and like all my stuff's just like all over the floor. My computer's on the floor and I'm just like laying on the floor looking miserable editing. And you just have this amazing picture of it.
No, so let me share this horror movie because I feel like this is a good opportunity for you, Dan, and it's just something I need to share with everyone. So this is like the third night we're there. Like the 4 nights we're staying in LA, and you know Brandon gave up on sleeping on the floor. He got a hotel. Me and Eddie were still running it.
Yeah, Brandon was done,
he's a
but I was like, I can't do this again.
He's like, I'm getting a hotel. I can't do this. So we're sleeping. We got back late, and I wake up, and we're sleeping on the floor. So I'm using like my book bag and like dirty clothes as like blanket and pillows and stuff. It was literally the startup life. And this is, I guess, a couple years ago now. Eddie is literally on top of me. He shakes me. Yes, you were.
Not on top of you.
Dude, you were literally. I'm like, you're right for me. If I'm
you can describe the situation.
Now let me go in this. And he shook me like, wake up. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? And he looks at me and he doesn't blink and he has this biggest fucking grin, like the Joker, like Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated series, like just grinning at me. And then he goes to the other side of the room and goes back to sleep. Nothing came out of his mouth.
I didn't. I
was
all the thing I
terrified.
remember is
You remember that?
I was sleeping. I woke him up in my sleep. I was still laying on the floor though. Like I wasn't anywhere like really near him. And I shook him.
You were on top of it. You shook.
I remember
everything.
waking up and I'm looking at Josh and I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" I went back to sleep.
Dude,
Dan, the way he violently shook me and like wake up was like there's a fire in the apartment. Like you gotta get out right now. Like that type of like danger. And then imagine just his smile, like looking into your soul. It was terrifying.
what is wrong with you?
So I'm very happy that this is now a public story and
this
all
is gonna live
inside
on
joke
forever.
because. So for those that are listening, please tweet at Contento with 10, letting him know that he's a scary individual.
So you really don't have a couch yet? Like where am I? I'm not sleeping.
We don't hang. That's the thing. We don't hang out together. We just hang out in our rooms.
I'm about to buy an air mat.
It's literally
it literally store things out there because we don't hang out.
And your apartment supports the infrastructure of get to work. There's no time for social.
We have
life.
a giant whiteboard, literally that takes up our entire living room.
I was in LA for a month and we didn't hang out once.
Yeah, dude, why didn't you hang out?
Yeah, Dan was here for like a day, and I hung out with him.
No, I know why Eddie didn't hang out.
Why?
I'm not gonna go into it, dude.
All right.
I'm not going into your personal
couch.
No, I'll get you one, dude. I'll get you one.
Let's bring it back in. So I'm sure we lost like half our podcast listeners by going on the inside stories and tangents. So, but there's iTunes listeners and SoundCloud and YouTube.
Oh, yeah, man.
So, Dan, what is something you've learned in the last year that you think is very vital to your future success? Like only in the last year that you've learned this.
I think it's like I think it's really important to stick to your roots in a sense of you have to keep grounded on why you do it. You know what I mean? It's like, why did I start doing this in the first place? Like, why did I want to do this? You know what I mean? Especially when things get like a little bit harder and it's like, you just need to be like, all right, recently, like I literally haven't gone out to like hang out or like to the bar or anything in like 2 months. And me and my friend Jake are literally back in our like 15-year-old bodies, like hanging out we would just hang out on the weekends all through high school and write horror movies all night. That's all we did on the weekends. And that's all we do now. We don't go out anymore. We literally just sit at his apartment and write our new film.
Why,
that's it.
Why do any, if you enjoy doing that, why do anything else that's not really like I don't know if you saw my tweet the other day about just consuming less and creating more, I think is a more gratifying and satisfying lifestyle than sitting around and watching Netflix for 3 hours and then having a small conversation with your friend about it for 20 minutes and that's all you really got out of that.
Yeah.
Or going out to a bar and not being able to hear who you want to hang out with for an hour and spending money on shitty alcohol and instead of like going and creating something and being proud of it.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're completely right. And it's just a matter of like, oh man, like I didn't move to LA to go hang out at bars with people I don't care about and like social climbing people and try and pretend like I'm this or I'm that. Like I just want to be what I want to be, and that's a filmmaker. So what am I doing? I'm going to spend my I spend my work time creating film stuff, and then I spend my free time doing it. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And I think just not losing your path of what you want is really important because it's really easy to lose that and get caught up in things.
So I'm going to steal this question from the Tim Ferriss show. But what's one thing that you have changed your opinion on in the last 5 years?
The Wonder Years.
The one
that is
the Wonder. He's right though. Thanks, Eddie. I thought the Wonder Years. Yeah, I didn't. Are we really gonna go with that?
No, we're not. We're gonna move past that.
Man. You know what? It doesn't have to do with my career, really, but my home, like where I'm from, because you guys can definitely relate. Like you grow up in like this fucking stupid suburban town and you just hate it so much while you're there and you do everything for so long to try and get away from it. And then when you're away from it long enough, you kind of realize like how endearing it is or why you are the way you are and how it kind of, shaped you. And you kind of realize how important it is. And not to be like cliche, but like, like don't forget your roots or whatever that is. Like,
Dan, you're the most cliche individual I've had the privilege of meeting.
Yeah, it's probably.
I haven't been away long enough to appreciate it yet.
Dude, you're going away for what, a year? You're gonna fucking be like, damn, dude, this place, and it looks different when you get back too.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that's something I used to really, really, really hate it, and then I've grown to like love it.
So, for those who are interested in watching your music videos or learning more about Dan Centrone films, how can they reach you, find you, contact you, hire you, flirt with you, whatever their purpose might be?
To dancentronefilms.com or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DanCentrone, CENTRONE. I keep it simple. I don't have any
by the way,
weird screen names.
Was your Twitter handle originally Dan Centrone Films?
Yes. No, I don't think it's always been just at my normal name. And I
kept tweeting at it and I was like, why is it going to nothing? This doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's always just been my name. I was like the kid on AIM with the AIM screen name. That was just my name.
Oh, you were lame.
Well, I was like, I can't go wrong here. It's my name.
I have like 15 screen names.
Wow. Yeah, see, I have one for a really long time.
I really wish I did that, but that's Joshua. I've been used on everything, so it's like keeps it organized. Everyone knows how to reach me. But I really wish it's just like I wish I could be the individual that just has the name Josh on every platform.
Right.
That's ace right there.
Right there. Just find that.
But then you have the response. No, but then you have the responsibility of like every platform that comes out the day of signing up, so no one takes your name. No matter if it's going to be.
I sign up for so many things with my name, just because I don't think anyone else has my name out there really, but there's like one other guy on Facebook that's like from Italy, and that's it.
I've at least have taken over when you Google my name, me on Google Images, and not like a random Joshua Davidson.
That's
good. All right. Well, this was fun. Dan, we will have you back again when your first feature film comes out. We'll be your first interview, by the way. So
I promise you.
I'm going to do a Nardwuar-esque interview on you.
Where are you going to get me?
Well, I'm just gonna get real personal. That's all.
Hey, I heard you love the Wonder Years. Here's some fun. How did you know?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I think it's a good spot to end it. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Again, this episode is brought to you by Chop Dog. Dog is in DAWG, or you can go to chop.dog, spelled normally. Contact us if you're looking to build your mobile app, web app, software, wearable, or if we want to talk about VR, we can do that too. Thanks.